Hi, welcome back. My name's Anna. I'm a psychologist in training, and on this channel we talk about real-life applications to psychology. If that's your type of thing, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button. Today we're talking about why you shouldn't try to control others. This is a video specifically for people that have been told they're controlling or asked by people, please stop trying to control me, to give you some ideas about why controlling isn't actually effective, why it's not helpful, and some concrete tips for how to stop doing that. We all try to control the people around us in day-to-day life, whether it be giving our partners a side eye when they're eating some junk food, or telling our kids they can't go to a sleepover, or trying to get our coworkers to speak to us more nicely, or asking our roommates to keep the apartment cleaner, or getting our therapy clients to leave their toxic boyfriend. We all try to do this in day-to-day life, whether we like to admit it or not. Some people, of course, try to do this quite a bit more than others, and this is for the people that do try to really control others to the point where it's gotten complaints or just a defining feature of the way you are as a person. But if we really get down to it, are these attempts at controlling other people actually effective? Do they actually improve our sense of well-being, or do they simply stop us from accepting the things that we can't change? Do they decrease our stress, or do they actually increase our stress? In this video, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I believe controlling others is not a good idea and give you some concrete steps for what to do about it. So let's get right into it. Why controlling others is not a good idea. The first reason is because people will resent you if they think that you know better than them what to do. They'll think you're superior to them. If you tell someone you should do things this way and it's actually a better way of doing things, they will unconsciously internalize the message that you're better than them, and their ego is going to try to take you down. For instance, I was once getting dinner with someone. I've actually spoken about this dinner on this channel before. And by the way, I do always change the details, even for people in my personal life, because, you know, no one wants to see stories about them online. But basically, I was getting dinner with this person, and they were just kind of telling me a bunch of choices that, from my point of view, were not great choices that they were making. I wasn't really responding. I was just kind of sitting there until this person point blank asked me what I would do in their position. And so I frankly but gently gave them some advice, and they sort of cocked their head to the side and looked at me and said, "You're such a healthy person, Anna." And of course, they then went on to do the exact opposite of what I had advised them, and things that I personally consider to be morally questionable. But I'll never forget that look in their eyes as they said that to me. As they said, "You're such a healthy person." It wasn't a look of admiration. It was a look of contempt, kind of like, must be nice to live in a world where you do the healthy thing. Because people don't really like to feel inferior. Their ego gets wounded, so they either try to lift themselves up or push you down. Things like either bragging or in your face being rude, or just having a more negative attitude towards you after that. That's reason number 1 why it's not good to tell others what to do, because they will resent you for it. Reason number 2, if you tell another person what to do and the outcome is negative, who do you think they're gonna blame for that? You. They're gonna blame you. That's kind of part of the reasoning why therapists aren't really supposed to tell their clients what to do, even if their client point blank asks them, like, what should I do about this? What do you think about this? I know there have certainly been situations when I've maybe gently guided or encouraged clients towards what I think is safe and healthy for them, you know, helping them through what that process might look like. And sometimes clients aren't ready to do the healthy or safe thing, and sometimes that's fine. Sometimes they regret it, and in some cases maybe what I would have done or what I would have encouraged them to do would have been the more sound advice. But I'm not the be-all end-all expert on what is healthy or safe. So what happens if I tell a client, you should do X and Y, and then something bad happens? Like, what if I tell a client, I don't think you should go to your dad's birthday party this weekend because he's bad for your mental health, and then their dad passes away that weekend and they resent me because they never got to say goodbye to their dad? When we control other people's behavior, we're giving them permission to blame us if something goes wrong. Haven't you ever gotten a piece of advice from someone and then followed it because you thought it was good advice at the time? And how did you feel about that person when the advice actually backfired? I imagine not very positively. So that's the second reason why controlling others or telling others what to do is a bad idea, because they will blame you for whatever goes wrong. And you can't predict what's gonna go wrong. You may think you know a situation better than they do. You may think you have all the right answers, but the truth is that you're not the expert on their life. You're not necessarily given all the information. They might be presenting you part of the information. And so if you give them advice based on a small perspective, really when you take a global appraisal of the situation, it could have been bad advice. Reason number 3 is that people need to learn from their own mistakes. When I was younger, like all young people, I made some stupid mistakes. And I remember at one point I was speaking to an adult and I was telling them, listen, you can't prevent every single mistake that I'm gonna make. Like, I'm going to make mistakes in life. And this person was absolutely mortified. Their jaw had dropped to the floor and they simply would not accept this. And they said, no, you need to just listen to me and not make any mistakes, because why would you make a mistake if I can prevent it for you? First of all, what this person failed to grasp was that making mistakes is absolutely inevitable, absolutely unpreventable. Even if they had engineered every single aspect of my life to be the most risk-free, the most mistake-averse, I still would have made mistakes, because no one in life doesn't make mistakes. Every decision you make has advantages and disadvantages, every single one. Secondly, this person couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that really the most growth happens after a mistake. No child learns to walk simply by getting up one day and walking perfectly. It's by stumbling and falling over and over again. And yeah, maybe there's a chance they're gonna fall and hurt themselves, and of course no parent wants to see that. But unfortunately, through failure is the only way, or I guess the strongest way, that we learn. No one grows in a classroom where they're not at all stimulated, where they already know all the answers. And I know for me personally, the biggest mistakes that I've made, those have been the ones that have fostered the greatest amount of growth for me. So if you're trying to control someone's life and make sure that they never fail or never make a mistake, you're sort of setting them up for a life of stagnation. You're not letting them evolve and grow on their own by making their own mistakes. And yes, just because you made the same mistakes as them doesn't mean that they don't need to make the same mistakes in order to grasp the lesson. My grandma always says, learn from other people's mistakes. See what they do wrong and don't do that thing. And I think that's great advice, but I do also think that nothing really sticks unless we feel it on our own skin. The best, most strongest lessons are the ones that we learn ourselves, not from other people. It's not enough to just hear a lesson. You have to actually feel it on your own skin. And reason number 4 is that you are not omnipotent. You're simply setting yourself up for failure if you want to control others, because it's not possible. You can't even really control what someone chooses to eat for lunch, let alone the important things like whether or not they're gonna stay loyal to you. Your internal experience is the only thing that you can really control. And even that is only to an extent. Like, you can't even control your own thoughts or feelings. You can control the way you relate to your thoughts, or you can control the way you regulate your feelings, but you can't even control what goes on in your own head most of the time. Stop thinking that you can play God, because you really don't have that much control over other people's behavior. You'll feel much more relaxed and accepting of the situation if you stop trying to control it. And I'll just throw in a 5th reason in there, just a bonus. Trying to control other people ruins those relationships. People don't like to feel controlled. It's not healthy to control other people. And so if you are trying to control another person, you are essentially just shooting yourself in the foot, just ruining the relationship, because I promise you, it's not actually going to be effective in controlling them. Okay, so how do you actually relinquish control? Number 1, I think you need to realize when you're sliding into a controlling mindset. Kind of catch yourself before or while you're trying to sway someone to doing things your way. Let's say that your partner is out at a party and you worry that they're going to drink too much and be too hungover for your plans tomorrow. Catch yourself before you start to text them, don't drink too much tonight, remember we have plans tomorrow. Stop yourself first. Take a deep breath, recognize that you're trying to control another person. Remind yourself why controlling someone else is not effective. Because they'll resent you, because they'll think you're superior to them, because they'll blame you if something goes wrong, because they won't be able to learn from their own mistakes and truly grasp the lesson, because it's futile and you cannot actually control another person's behavior, because it'll only end up ruining the relationship, because you'll only end up feeling frustrated and powerless in this situation. Number 3, the most empowering thing in this situation is to realize that you can control your own behavior. No, you cannot control what another person does, but you can control how you respond to it. Let's say that your partner does get really drunk and tomorrow they sleep through your plans. You then have the ability to say, you know what, that was really disrespectful and inconsiderate of you. I knew this was going to happen. I think I recognize that this is the type of person you are. I don't want to be with someone whose sobriety I need to babysit. I want to be with someone who acts like an adult. Or maybe you just simply express to them how they hurt you and how their actions impacted you. And they learn right then and there that they need to be more forward thinking in their future, and next time they won't make the same mistake twice. There are a lot of different ways to handle any given situation. However you want to handle it is up to you. You have the power to decide, if this person does something in X way, I will respond in Y way. So often we want to be in someone's life, yet there's something about them that's just incompatible with our needs. Maybe it's needing to tell your roommate to clean up after themselves 10 times a week. Maybe it's trying to get your partner to do things a certain way. Maybe it's trying to get your son or daughter to do something a certain way. But if we stop and assess our options, we may come to realize that we only really have two choices. Accept that they will likely never change and stay exactly the way that they are, which is the most likely situation, or choose to walk away. If you care about this person so much and the incompatibilities aren't deal breakers, then you may need to come to a place of radical acceptance, because past behavior is truly the best predictor of future behavior. This is a deal breaker for you. If, let's say, your partner's cheated on you 5 times and you recognize, okay, this is probably going to keep happening, nothing I can do to stop this, you need to realize that it's not within your power to control another person, but rather how you choose to respond with your own behaviors. So choose carefully. What do you want to choose? Accept this person as they are, or choose to walk away? Or, often there's a third choice, which is express how you feel about the situation, but that's not always guaranteed to control another person. And lastly, what about the present? Putting aside what you want to do about this in the future, what do you want to do right now in this very present moment? What could you be doing right now instead of thinking of ways to convince someone else to do things your way? Could you be reading, writing, exercising, meditating, studying? What are you not doing right now because you're scheming, thinking of a way to control another person? Do that instead. Refocus your body, your experience, your behavior, and choose accordingly. And you may find that your relationship with that person might actually improve because of this. Instead of spending hours and hours trying to tell them what to do and trying to ambush them, you may actually end up deepening your intimacy and coming to a place of accepting them the way that they are. If you made it this far, I really want to commend you for, honestly, your commitment to improving this thing about you, because I know a lot of people who are accused of being controlling are not always the most receptive to changing that about themselves. And so I think it's a really brave first step, and I hope that this video helped some. And in case it did, I hope that you hit like or leave a comment, whatever you feel comfortable doing, and I'll see you soon.